Tatsuya entered the world as a member of the illustrious Yotsuba clan, renowned for producing some of Japan's most formidable mages. But for his mother, the clan's esteemed leader, the only thing that mattered was ensuring her unborn child possessed unprecedented magical abilities. She fervently prayed for him to become a superhuman mage, even before his arrival into the world. When Tatsuya was born, the clan rejoiced, but their elation was short-lived. They soon discovered that he possessed no magical powers and shunned him, labeling him as an outcast. The young boy endured relentless bullying and isolation from everyone, including his mother, who had prayed for his birth. To save face and maintain their reputation, she designated him as his sister's protector. Tatsuya's heart ached with loneliness and despair. He cried and screamed out for someone to acknowledge him, but his pleas fell on deaf ears. Over time, his emotions withered away, and he became numb to his surroundings. He no longer shed tears, not because he didn't want to, but because the pain and suffering had stripped away his ability to feel. Tatsuya's mother and his sister Miyuki luxuriated in the privileged class of the airplane, while Tatsuya was relegated to the economic section. Upon arriving at the airport, Tatsuya was already present with all their luggage, serving as their porter. Miyuki was annoyed by his presence, but their mother reminded her that Tatsuya was her protector, more akin to a servant than a brother. She advised Miyuki to adjust to his presence quickly. After arriving at their villa, Hanami, one of the family's servants, greeted them. The three of them headed inside, leaving the arduous task of carrying the luggage to Tatsuya. Miyuki decided to take a walk and asked her mother for permission, who instructed her to take Tatsuya with her. Miyuki begrudgingly complied, but kept her distance from Tatsuya, feeling bitter that he was her guardian when he was weaker than her. As she brooded, Tatsuya abruptly halted her in her tracks, preventing her from colliding with a man who intentionally bumped into her. Three off-duty soldiers confronted them in a menacing manner, but Tatsuya positioned himself in front of Miyuki, his voice and eyes conveying a latent threat. This further agitated the soldiers, and they attacked Tatsuya with a magic-infused punch, which he promptly blocked. Miyuki was astonished, knowing that Tatsuya was incapable of magic. Tatsuya warned the soldiers again, but they continued to attack him. Tatsuya countered their assault with a single punch, sending them flying. He then guides Miyuki away, holding her hand as they walk together. Miyuki is still in shock from witnessing Tatsuya's unexpected combat skills. When they return to the villa, they find Hanami noticing Miyuki's shaken state. After Tatsuya shares the details, Hanami praises him, but he humbly dismisses it as his duty. Tatsuya's mother, Mia, compliments him on understanding his role, leaving Miyuki confused about his statement. Mia is feeling unwell, so Miyuki attends a party in her place to greet a family branch leader. Miyuki doesn't want to go, but Hanami advises her to conceal her emotions for the sake of her public image. As they head out to the party, Hanami expresses her sorrow about Tatsuya's fate as a bodyguard despite not being an artificially enhanced mage like herself. At the party, Miyuki formally greets Mitsu, the branch leader, and he takes her to meet her cousins while Tatsuya stands guard by the wall. Miyuki meets her cousin and they formally introduce themselves to Miyuki, after which they ask about Tatsuya. After seeing him, they soon rush towards him, and Miyuki notices a slight smile on Tatsuya's face. Miyuki feels a twinge of envy as Tatsuya smiles at the kids, something he has never done to her, despite her indifference towards him. In reality, Tatsuya is just trying to deflect attention from himself. Miyuki contemplates the family's internal politics and how they force everyone to maintain distance from Tatsuya, treating him like a mere expendable tool. As a bodyguard, Tatsuya must put his life on the line to protect his sister, but Miyuki never truly loved him as a brother. She believes that Tatsuya, with his emotionless demeanor, does not reciprocate her feelings either, staying by her side only because of his duty. Tatsuya diffuses the situation with the kids and requests permission to patrol the grounds. Seeing Tatsuya's resolve to fulfill his role, Miyuki also decides to carry out her duty as her mother's representative. The next day, the family plans to spend some leisure time aboard their yacht. They take photos, and when Hanami suggests that Tatsuya and Miyuki take one together, Tatsuya hesitates, but their mother silently approves. Surprisingly, Miyuki blushes while smiling in the picture. However, their leisurely time is cut short as the yacht is attacked by a submarine, forcing it to take evasive action. As the yacht comes under attack, Miyuki and Hanami quickly reach for their CADs, the devices they use to cast magic for defense. Miyuki notices that Tatsuya's hands are empty, making her think he's useless. Despite being considered a mage, he doesn't even have a device. The sudden appearance of two torpedo shadows in the water shocks everyone. None of their magic spells seem to be able to defend against the attack. However, Tatsuya surprises everyone when he simply points his hand at the torpedoes and uses a spell to dismantle them. Miyuki is left in disbelief and confusion, unable to comprehend the type of magic he just used. It's even more surprising because Tatsuya doesn't have a CADs and shouldn't be able to use magic. He's just demonstrated an advanced type of magic in mere seconds. From that moment on, Miyuki's heart starts to race with a newfound admiration for her older brother. She begins to think about who he really is. That evening, Kazama, the captain from the nearby military base, pays a visit to the villa to take a statement about the recent incident. The siblings accompany him outside, only to come across the soldier whom Tetsuya had knocked down a few days earlier. Kazama recognizes Tetsuya as the boy involved in the incident and makes the soldier apologize. Tetsuya can only speak and accept the apology after getting a nod of approval from Miyuki. Intrigued by Tetsuya's abilities, Kazama extends an invitation for him to visit the military base. The next day, Tetsuya's mother plans to attend a women-only event and suggests Tetsuya visit the base to learn something. Miyuki asks to join, claiming that she needs to understand her bodyguard's skill level. Their mother grants permission but reminds them to behave like siblings in public. She advises Tetsuya to address Miyuki by name instead of using formal titles. Upon arrival at the base, they're greeted by Sanada, who shows them the troops training to use basic magic without a device. Under Kazama's watchful eye, the training progresses to sparring matches, and Tetsuya is invited to participate. Tetsuya accepts the challenge and his first opponent turns out to be a national boxing champion. The match commences with the boxer throwing a flurry of punches, but Tetsuya evades them effortlessly and lands a single blow that sends his opponent crashing to the mat. Next up is a karate black belt, and Kazama urges him to go all out against a 13-year-old. As the soldier charges towards him, Sanada remarks on how Tetsuya seems to be treating the fight as if it were a real combat situation, maintaining a safe distance in case the soldier is concealing any weapons. Tetsuya uses his wits to dodge his opponent's moves and finishes the match by countering an attack and flipping the soldier over. After watching a child defeat trained soldiers, Kazama feels that their honor is at stake and challenges Tetsuya to one final match. Joseph, the soldier Tetsuya had defeated on the first day, volunteers, saying he would like another chance to prove himself. Kazama vouches for Joseph's skill level, and Tetsuya agrees to the challenge despite Miyuki's anxiety. The match begins, but this time, the soldier is allowed to use magic, much to Miki's dismay. However, Tetsuya reprimands her, emphasizing that the use of magic is crucial for a magician. Employing his agility, Tetsuya creates some distance and uses his own magic to stun Joseph before taking him down. In awe, they couldn't believe that Tetsuya had just used Graham Demolition, a high-level spell that destroys enemy magic spells. Kazama invites the siblings for tea to discuss the technique Tetsuya used, while Sanada invites Tetsuya to take a look at the CADs he's been working on, which catches his interest. Miyuki notices Tetsuya has been working non-stop on his CADs, yet she doesn't understand why. Suddenly, an air raid alarm goes off, and sirens start blaring throughout the region. The announcement comes in, stating that a patrol boat was attacked off the coast and that the island is under a missile attack. The announcer advises people to evacuate immediately. Tetsuya arrives and informs them that Kazama has offered them shelter at the base. Just then, the phone rings and Panami lets Mia know that it's her sister on the line. They discuss the situation, and her sister advises them to take shelter at the base and remove Tetsuya's limits. Mia agrees and tells Tetsuya to ask Kazama for transportation. Upon arrival at the base, Joseph leads Tetsuya and Hanami to a secure room where they wait with another family for shelter. However, Tetsuya and Hanami sense that something is amiss. Suddenly, gunshots echo throughout the base, prompting Tetsuya to use his magic to scout the area. Unfortunately, the room is shielded, rendering his attempt futile. Mia demands that Tetsuya investigate the commotion outside, but he hesitates out of concern for Miyuki's safety. Their mother grows irate and scolds Tetsuya for daring to address his sister by her name as though they were equals. She compels him to apologize and follow her orders. Using magic to control him, Tetsuya steps outside and witnesses a fierce gun battle between the base personnel and enemy troops, aided by some traitors. Meanwhile, inside the shelter, a soldier named Kenji arrives with 3 comrades and assures the civilians that he will lead them to safety. Anami informs him that one member of their party is outside checking on the situation, and Tetsuya's mother suggests that the soldiers take the other family first. As Hanami observes Tetsuya's mother's unusual display of concern for her son, she wonders if there's more to their relationship than she thought. But the mother quickly dismisses the notion and asserts that she simply cannot trust the soldiers. Suddenly, Joseph enters and calls out to Kenzu, who reacts by opening fire on everyone without warning. Hanami reacts quickly by creating a protective barrier around Miyuki and Mia, but one of the traitors uses a magic spell to suppress their abilities, leaving them vulnerable. Joseph and Kenzu argue about the betrayal, and Miyuki manages to break free from the suppression spell long enough to strike down the traitor responsible. This only serves to enrage Kenzu, who swiftly guns down Miyuki and the others. Tetsuya bursts in through a hole he created in the wall and uses the cat he was working on to disintegrate the 4 traitors. He rushes over to Miyuki, but finds her lifeless in a pool of blood. Desperate, he calls out her name while placing his hand on her chest, but she does not respond. In a fit of desperation, he casts a unique magic spell that transports Miyuki's unconscious mind to a ruined, cold cityscape where he desperately calls out to her. Miyuki feels a wave of guilt wash over her for how poorly she had treated Tetsuya all these years, now that she believes she has died. She wishes she had the opportunity to apologize for her behavior, but it is too late. As she collapses, a wave of magic appears to heal her wounds and repair her body before she was shot. Upon opening her eyes, Miyuki realizes that it is Tetsuya's magic that has saved her. Overwhelmed with gratitude and awe at her brother's incredible power, she embraces him tightly as he reassures her that she is safe. However, when Tetsuya stands up to save the rest of the group, Miyuki is torn between her desire to keep him close and her understanding of the urgency of the situation. As she looks around, she sees the numerous bullet holes in her mother's body and finally calls Tetsuya brother in a genuine and heartfelt manner. Tetsuya uses his magic to fully heal her and Hemi while the others begin to awaken from their unconsciousness. However, their mother remains unconscious, and the base doctor is called in to assess her condition. Kazama offers his apologies to Tetsuya for the traitorous actions that led to the attack, but Tetsuya demands an explanation. Kazama revealed to the others that their family had been targeted and that the Tetsuya clan had been taken as collateral. Kama then elaborated that the enemy had established control over the waters near the island and had deployed land troops along the village shoreline. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Tetsuya implored them to safeguard his family in their most secure location and requested armor and equipment to confront the enemy head-on. Baffled by Tetsuya's resolute demeanor, Kazama questioned why he was so intent on seeking revenge. Tetsuya calmly explained that it was in response to his sister's murder. Kazama, determined to protect innocent civilians, firmly stated that they would not allow harm to come to non-combatants or those who surrendered. However, Tetsuya's piercing gaze left no doubt that he would not give the enemy the chance to surrender. After a moment of contemplation, Kazama agreed to let Tetsuya deploy with them. As Tetsuya prepared to leave, Miyuki clung to him, begging him not to go. But Tetsuya explained that he had no choice. He had to fight for those who had been harmed, as they were the most important thing to him. Miyuki picked up on his unusual phrasing and Tetsuya advised her that she was now old enough to comprehend and that their mother would provide an explanation. He then reassured Miyuki that he would return, confident in his own abilities and power, knowing that there was no one who could defeat him. The family watched in terror as Tetsuya and the military unit confronted the invaders. Hanami shivered, describing the battle as a living nightmare. With his incredible magical skills, Tetsuya was obliterating the enemy soldiers, and to make matters worse for the enemy, he was even able to revive his companions who were shot down. Miyuki turned to her mother, seeking an explanation for her brother's cryptic words. Miyuki's mother sternly rebukes her for referring to Tetsuya as her brother but then goes on to explain his unique abilities. True magic involves modifying information to produce a desired outcome, but Tetsuya is only capable of destroying and restoring information on a massive scale. To prevent him from seeking revenge and destroying the family, there are several safeguards in place to limit his power. However, despite his limitations, Tetsuya's strong bond with Miyuki has led him to become her bodyguard. Hearing this revelation causes Miyuki to cry and wonder how she can ever repay Tetsuya for everything he has done for her. As the battle winds down, 6 ships break away from the enemy fleet and attempt to flee. The soldiers are eager to pursue them, but the base commander orders them to stand down. Confused, the soldiers watch as only Sanada, Kazama, and Tetsuya remain behind. Tetsuya is wielding a massive sniper CADs that he developed himself. Observing this, Hanami requests permission to deploy and assist Tetsuya. Mia nods in agreement, seeming to understand Tetsuya's plan. Hanami arrives and activates her shields, focusing on defense from the incoming bombardment so that Tetsuya can concentrate on attacking the enemy fleet. Tetsuya activates his magic spell material, unleashing a burst that obliterates the fleet and creates a massive tsunami as they retreat. Once they reach safety, Tetsuya watches as Hanami succumbs, having exhausted all her magic power to shield him. However, Hanami reveals she is content, having fulfilled her final duty and allowed to die as a person, rather than as a mere tool. Tetsuya and Miyuki attend Hanami. This brings an end to our episode. If you enjoyed it, then don't forget to subscribe our channel.